Who you can thank.
When I lay down.
Your vote's automatically calculated by computers at the GOP. Manipulated this time. Don't let the fascist neocons screw us again. The brother governor that's running Florida, no doubt's got another plan to get your vote up this time. Don't let the fascist neocons screw us again. Let us in, just actors in clean white faces, the band of two living. Let us up, we don't live here. Let us in, clean white represent. Then goes triangle bush, when short of good, and alter skulls, my loins with gonorrhea. Kill Christ, boy. The Jews kill Christ. Bush is appointed by God. Back, we can't see back. If you're darker than brown, then your vote will get thrown out. Back, except for on things winning closet bags. Will it won't matter who or what you vote like? It's big or Bush too. Winning a landslide this time. Don't let the fascist neocons screw us again.
Mark that down. It's a classic. Number one with 16 bullets.
Play it again. Just one little present.
Let's do it again. Now, let me ask you something. Do we have both of these breaks to take this hour or not?
Yep. Yes.
We do. Okay, I'm just checking because I'll do it very momentarily, and then we'll get, organized. We'll get into kind of a flow. Kind of a short flow, though.
Yeah.
Kind of like when you have a urinary infection. You have kind of a short flow.
And it hurts.
And it hurts real bad. It kind of burns. Anyway, we got the Marlin pregame. Now, just because it's been raining like hell, especially in West Palm, I checked out my radar. See, now that we had all this hurricane crap, now we're all experts at checking the radar. You check out the old loop-de-loop.
Better than most of those guys on TV.
Yeah, and that's for damn sure. And then the rumor has it that they were trying to bring back Gene. I mean, we do have this band arena that's going around, but it'll be over by ball game time. They got to get both these games in today. Big, gigantic doubleheader with the Cubs starting at 12:30, game number one. That's the pregame at 12:30. So if you're up in Palm Beach County and you've been rained on and think, oh, they're not going to play those games, guess what? Get in your car, go to the stadium. Trust me when I tell you those games will be played. If we have to bet Greg Reed's life on it, those games will be played. If we have to hang him from the flagpole, those games will be played, right?
Flagpole?
Because we got big fish to fry at 12:30, like getting the hell out of here. 10:42 at 560 QAM.
The Howard Stern Show. Neil Rogers, mornings and middays. And sports around the clock. 560 QAM.
Neil, God.
I'm dying over here. I have no life.
Miami has the Dolphins. They're the worst football team.
Absolutely.
They club the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. They're on the ground. That's where they'll stay. They're never in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking toilet bowl, 'cause they're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins number. How many teams in the league?
Body burning, man.
Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Don't bet on them, you'll always lose.
Yes.
They don't know how to tackle. They don't know how to block. Their coaches ought to tell them to put Bengay in their jocks. Then they would run much faster and even in defeat. When we go to the stadium, we'll see Miami Heat. And they're the Miami Dolphins. Oh. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins number. How many teams in the league? 32. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. The team that hasn't got a clue. Miami has the Dolphins, but the Dolphins have no fans. Just 50,000 sitting in the stands. They watch the game and all they do is moan and gripe and bitch. I wonder how Joe Robbie got to be so damn rich. And they're the Miami Dolphins.
Oh!
Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins number. How many teams in the league?
30, man.
Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. I hear the crowd begin to boo. The Dolphins have Jay Fiedler. That quarterback's a Jew. Run down the field and he will throw a pass over you. He'll never win a Super Bowl. You shouldn't be surprised. When he gets cut, that doesn't mean that he was circumcised. And they're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins number. How many teams in the league? 32. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Jay calls his signals in Hebrew. The Dolphins have no defense and their offense is a joke. Like George Bush eating pretzels, you know they're gonna choke. They'll always disappoint you when they're in a playoff race. With fewer points than pockmarks on Huizinga's ugly face. And they're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins number, oh what the hell, 32. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, now they're through.
I'm dying over here.
Absolutely.
10:50, 10 to 11 at 560 WQAM. Happy Monday to you. Cubs and the Marlins at PP Park. They will play. Trust me when I tell you, or else. Guess who died? And you told me about it already, so I guess you know. Skeeter Davis.
Oh, yeah.
Skeeter Davis.
She died?
The end of the world.
For her.
No, that's bad. Anyway, she at the top of the pop charts with The End of the World 1963, sang on the Grand Ole Opry radio show for more than 40 years. Died of cancer yesterday. She was 72. Died at a Nashville hospice. She'd been diagnosed with breast cancer in 1988, had a recurrence in 96. She was nicknamed Skeeter by her grandpa, who said she was so active she buzzed around like a mosquito. Had toured with Elvis Presley and the Rolling Stones. She became a regular on the Opry Live radio show in 1959. Continued to perform as late as this year. In 1973, she was suspended from the Opry for more than a year for protesting the arrest of Jesus freaks in Nashville. Besides The End of the World, her hits included I'm Saving My Love and I Can't Stay Mad at You. She was born Mary Frances Pennock, and she took the name Skeeter Davis in the 50s when she became half of the Davis Sisters duet. She began a solo career after her duet partner Betty Jack Davis was killed in a 53 car wreck. Skeeter was critically injured in the same wreck. Well, she had a rough time of it, you know?
Yes,
but now she's at rest. She's at peace.
Right. She's in a better place.
Here's the poll result from over the weekend. I changed the poll on you, and actually would have changed it a lot sooner, but Eric was out gallivanting around all day. Don't do it again, Eric. Do it again? Is that what he just said? Don't do it again. Oh, no, we don't have time. We don't have time to screw us again or do anything, because we got a real short show. 1,717 votes. This was as of 10:45 last night when I gave up and went to bed, because I realized that Eric wasn't going to change the poll, which he did at about 3 o'clock in the morning. But nevertheless, we got a lot of votes on there already, on the new one. What is the most overrated rock group of all time, we asked on Friday? The Grateful Dead, 301. Kiss, as in Kiss It, 189. Nirvana, 134, and you're not too happy about that, but they're right.
Oh, whatever.
Oh, U2, 122. We can all be proud of that, because they suck. The Beatles, 114. That is downright unacceptable. Creed, 110. Dave Matthews Band, 98. Fish, 72. Metallica, 71. Boston, 67. Boy, you talk about syrup. Huey Lewis and the Nudes, 61. Aerosmith, 60. That I just want to pee my pants when I see that. That's unacceptable. Anybody that would say that Aerosmith is overrated. Pearl Jam, 51. Led Zeppelin, 46. Van Halen, 44. Pink Floyd, 40. Air Supply, 35. The Eagles had...
About 30, man.
Steely Dan had...
About 30, man.
And to say that the Eagles are on a par with Steely Dan, that's unbelievable.
Right. Tragic. Criminal.
In other words, if the Eagles had 30, then Steely Dan should have had like 3,000. Chicago only 22, and Styx had only 20. So that's kind of interesting. Chicago coming almost last place, which pleases us no end after playing all the Chicago stuff on Friday.
Now let's do it again.
Let's, what do you say? We'll do it again for some more. Okay. Just relax. Well, we don't have time. You're forcing me to rush here, man. Oh, rush.
Don't rush.
Good Canadian boys. Anyway, here's a fax from Simone, who says, what have we got from 9 to 11-ish in the morning on WQAM? A ponderous, embarrassing, juvenile pile of crap. When do you come on? Well, I guess the answer to that is, Simone, whenever. And then she says, whenever. This is no suck-up, but your material is far and away more interesting. I found Joe Rose again. Not that I'm a sports person. At least he can communicate on an adult level. The inmates are running the asylum. Good luck to us, says Simone. Well, we came on this morning at about 10:40, and the show ends at 12:30, so we got a little bit less than 2 hours. That's not too bad. That's not too... Oh, God. I'm getting choked up about it. So here's the new poll. Went on there at about 2:52 in the morning this morning. Which of these applies to you? And I'm not going to take, a Howard Stern poll every day. We've done several of these, but just to try to get a little feel of what's happening out there, get a little feel of it. Yeah. Ask Joyce if I can say that. I know I can't do it, but I can say it. 542 votes, and look at that, we got 9 new listeners already. All right. Which of these applies to you? I listened to Neil, but not to Stern. 373, that's 68.8%. You see that?
I see it.
Man. I've always listened to both Stern and Neil, 142. See, the reason I'm referring to him by last name is not to, lack of deference to Howard Stern. It's just if I say Howard, it could be like...
Absolutely.
Mo Howard. We got too many Howards around. It could be Ronnie Howard, Mo Howard, the David...
Howard the Duck.
Right.
Howard Hughes.
I listen to Neil, not to Stern, 373. I've always listened to Stern and Neil, 142. I listen to Stern on another station, 18, who want to actually hear the show and not hear all the dumps and the bleeps and the baboops and all of that in there. 18. And I'm a Stern listener and a new listener to Neil. We got, this is staggering, boys and girls. 9. And that's without any promotion for the Stern show whatsoever, right? Or the new lineup. Well, we don't know what the lineup is, so we can't promote it.
Right.
The bad news is I don't see the humper on the schedule this week. We thought for sure that Greg Reed would come to his senses, that the Marlin organization would kind of like relax and ease back a little bit. I don't know what's going on there because nobody tells us from nothing. And there's not even any point asking Clarence and Muff anymore because even if they do know something, they lie like champions because they're sworn to secrecy. And they're both a couple of real pansies who are like, quaking in their boots, who are, in their Quaker oats. Like, what's her name? Barbara Bush. There's Kerry.
In a legitimate struggle against terrorists.
There he is. See, he's legitimate. What are we going to do with him, huh?
I don't know.
What are we going to do to wake him up? He seems to be a little more animated this morning. He seems to be saying some of the right things. It's hopefully not too late. You realize it's only 43 days?
Yeah.
6 weeks from tomorrow is the presidential election.
Oh, my God.
Wow, that's all I can say. And I sure hope that they don't screw us again, is what I'm thinking. 10:56. Like I said, have no fear. The rain is subsiding. I'm checking that radar. Everything is going to be just fine.
Oh, we're
Go
fine.
over to that stadium and have a great time.
Listening to Neil Rogers exclusively. 560 QAM.
You drudge packing?
Tonight we are a country awakened to danger and called to defend freedom. Called to defend freedom.
Why does the sun go on shining?
This was their finest hour.
Why does the sea rush to shore?
Aggressive conduct ultimately leads to war.
Don't they know it's the end of the world? 'Cause you don't love me anymore.
This nation is opposed to war.
Is anybody listening tonight?
Why do the birds go on singing?
Okay, eroding.
Why do the stars glow above?
The blind!
Don't they know it's the end of the world?
That's hell?
It ended when I lost your love. I wake up in the morning and I wonder,
Jimmy, I'm afraid.
why everything's the same as it was.
Hello, I'm Mr. Red.
I can't understand. No, I can't understand how life goes on the way it does.
I don't do my job as well when I'm constipated.
No.
Why does my heart go on beating?
Raining inside me, now learn how to let Missy baby up leg. Eating a real good sandwich with sauerkraut. Don't stop now, baby, let it all hang out.
The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you.
Let it all hang out.
Get the chop. Hey, get the chop.
Let it all hang out.
It puts the lotion in the basket.
Let it all hang out.
We do go to lunch, George.
Fine. Hung my
Okay.
It's 11:03 at 12:30. 11:03 at 560 WQAM. Well, I tell you, pressure-packed show again today, man. We're going to jam. We're going to cram it. We're cramming about 800 hours worth of material in like an hour and 40. What is it? How long are we on today?
An hour and about 30.
No, hour and 40 minutes, something like that. Hour 50, whatever it is. It's certainly more than enough. You'll like this story. I got the story of the century, the very important one I'm going to read. It's going to take time. No calls today, by the way. Don't waste your time calling. We got bigger fish to fry, okay?
Fish.
Well, what about milkshakes before the fish?
Okay.
Lakeland, you'll like this story. 2 brothers serving in the military and a third man exploded a small bomb inside a McDonald's because they were angry over a bad milkshake they'd received, officials said. No one was hurt. Damage to the restaurant was minor. Pedro Garza, 19, Joshua Hackey, 19, and Nathaniel Hackey, 21, were arrested Saturday on felony charges of making and discharging a destructive device. The older Hackey is in the Army and his brother is in the Coast Guard, the Polk County Sheriff's Office said. I wonder if they're kin to like Polk Salana, you think?
Polk a dot.
One of the guys said they got a bad milkshake and they played a prank on them, Sheriff's Major Sammy Taylor said. Investigators say the men mixed toilet bowl cleaner and aluminum foil in a plastic soda bottle.
Uh-oh.
As they sat at a table Friday evening near the McDonald's restrooms, near the tea rooms. They then capped the bottle, put it on the table, and left before it exploded 10:45 Friday p.m. A customer sitting 10 feet away wasn't hit by the splashing chemicals. The toilet bowl cleaner has an acid base, Taylor said. It can burn your skin and put your eyes out. The three were identified from a surveillance video, investigator said. Maria Bain, the Hackey's older sister, said they didn't think about the consequences of their action and now regret them so bad. It's a stupid prank and they weren't thinking, she said. I've had calls from them already, and they said they wish they could turn back the hands of time. I bet you Ted Bundy's probably thinking the same thing. Or at least he was.
Fry them in the deep fat fryer.
Probably Skeeter Davis was thinking that, too, as she took her last breath. I wish I could turn back the hands of time, but it's the end of the world for me. Bain said her brothers are 2 good kids who've never been in trouble with the law. Nathan said he's ready to face what's coming to him. She said, maybe they'll be made examples and people won't do this thing. I know the punishment. Make them eat at that McDonald's, man.
No.
Huh? That's a punishment worse than fate worse than death at McDeath. Now? Here is the story. This is the definitive story about the kind of crap that's going on in America. Blogger who faulted CBS documents happens to be, just a coincidence, an activist with the far-right GOP ties. Writes Peter Walston in the LA Times. It was the first public allegation that CBS News used forged memos in its report. Questioning President Bush's National Guard service, a highly technical explanation posted within hours of airtime, citing proportional spacing and font styles. But it didn't come from an expert in typography or typewriter history, as some first thought. Instead, it was the work of Harry W. MacDougald, an Atlanta lawyer with strong ties to conservative Republican causes, who helped draft a petition urging the Arkansas Supreme Court to disbar President Clinton after the Monica Lewinsky scandal at times was found. The identity of Buckhead, a blogger known previously only by his screen name on the site freerepublic.com, and lifted to folk hero status in the conservative blogosphere since last week's posting, is likely to fuel speculation among Democrats that the efforts to discredit the CBS memos were engineered by Republicans eager to undermine reports that Bush received preferential treatment in the National Guard more than
about 30, man.
Years ago. Republican officials have denied any involvement among those debunking the CBS story. Reached by telephone over the weekend, MacDougald, 46, confirmed that he is Buckhead, but declined to answer any questions about his political background or how he knew so much about the CBS documents so fast. You can ask the questions, but I'm not going to answer them, he told the LA Times. I'm just going to stick to doing no interviews. Until the Times identified him by piecing together information from his postings over the past 2 years, MacDougald had taken pains to remain in the shadows, in those dark shadows, saying the credit for challenging CBS should remain with the blogosphere as a whole and not one individual. That's whole with a W.
Thank you.
Free papers collectively possess more analytical horsepower than the entire division of CBS, he wrote in an email, using freepers. Did I say free papers? Freepers, excuse me. Using the slang obnoxious term for users of that obnoxious right-wing Free Republic site. Jeepers creepers, here go the creepers again. MacDougald is a lawyer in the Atlanta office of the Winston-Salem, North Carolina-based firm Womble, Carlisle, Sandridge, and Rice. I wonder if that's kin to Condoleezza. and is affiliated with two prominent conservative legal groups, the Federalist Society and the Southeastern Legal Foundation, where he serves on the Legal Advisory Board and has been involved in several high-profile cases. Founded in 1976, the Southeastern Legal Foundation advocates limited government, individual economic freedom, and the free enterprise system, according to its website. The foundation has fought affirmative action and domestic partner benefits for government employees and successfully challenged the Clinton administration plan to use proportional sampling rather than a hard count to estimate the population in the 2000 census. MacDougald helped draft the foundation's petition in 1998 that led to the 5-year suspension of Clinton's Arkansas law license for giving misleading testimony in the Paula Jones sexual harassment case. So obviously a very unbiased blogger out there who just happens to be a right-wing fanatic on freerepublic.com. It speaks for itself, don't it? Yes. Now, how's that poll coming, that plow? 618 votes already. How's John Kerry doing? He sounds pretty good this morning.
Develop Iraq's oil resources.
There you go. We don't have time to listen to a lot of his, but it looks like he's finally getting his voice a little bit, and who knows? This is his typical way of campaigning. He just kind of like, stumbles around in the dark, then all of a sudden when you least expect it, he comes to life there in the last few weeks when it really counts. That's right. He gets the old bug up his ass, start crawling around. Anyway, which of these applies to you? 618 vote. I listened to Neil, not to Stern, 420, 67.9%. Rounded off, you got 68%. Oh. I've always listened to Stern and Neil, 163, 26.3%. I listened to Stern on another station, 21, 3.3%, 21. Now, why would anybody want to listen to, like, the whole unexpurgated Howard Stern show when they can hear all them nifty bleeps that Duff's putting in there on QAM, right?
Must be commies.
Not to mention the great AM signal, too. Also, I'm a Stern listener and a new listener, Neil. 14! Oh, hallelujah, man. What?
I said, see there?
Yeah, I see there. 22.2%. We got some new listeners out there. And that's without any billboards, any TV spots, any real promotion for the fact that we got Howard Stern on the air. And like I said, it's kind of hard to promote your new lineup when you don't have a new lineup yet. When everybody's just kind of bending over waiting to get it from Greg next. Who's going to be next? You know, we had the worst team. I was thinking about this in the shower this morning. Let me show you how my mind is all messed up by that place. First, we had the whole worst team. Joe Rose comes to Greg and gives him advance notice. Says, I'm leaving. I'm going to Channel 6 full time. Nice guy. Gives him plenty of notice. You can't quit. You're fired. All of you on the first team, you're all fired. But don't leave until I'm ready to put something else on. So Joe Rose got screwed over not once, but then again this last time, twice he got screwed. But he still comes out smelling like a...
Rose?
Oh, God. I love these short shows, man. I don't care whatever I said on Friday. I love the short shows. Real short. 10 minutes is good. And anyway, and then, of course, we had Geldy, who stuck around for a while. But he's... and, of course, he's waiting to do the Panther games now. Oh, you got a long wait, Geldy. I'll tell you right now, man. You got a long wait. Don't send the Panthers your money, please, unless you just want to let them hold it for a while. In fact, let them hold your pen before we let them hold your cash. And let's see, who else? We got the Humper, of course, who's getting oh, man. Nobody knows the trouble he'd be seeing. They haven't got any idea what's going on with the Humper, who's like in indefinite, permanent, suspended animation with pay. Who am I leaving out? And, of course, Joe and Mark, your close personal friends.
Right.
And then, of course, little George right there, you were about ready to get canned because Mo got all upset about those memos. And then Greg, I decided to terminate George Rodriguez because he lied, and I can't have anybody working here who lied. Oh, my God, Greg, then you better fire yourself. Look in the mirror and fire yourself, because when it comes to lying, man, we got the one guy who says,
I'm dying over here.
And Greg says, I'm lying over here. That's his motto. So it's just a question of, it's not a question of if, it's just a question of when. So just everybody bend over, get the old KY, and get ready for Greg to get the old foot greased up. Man, or at least if he's in a good mood, he'll grease it up first. 12 minutes past 11 at 560 WQAM, a short show today. Marlins on deck at 12:30. Marlins and the Cubs. These are the two biggest games of the year. Even Miguel would agree with that. Are you going? You got tickets?
Not going.
Why not?
Gotta work.
You took all the good tickets.
Yeah, but not for me.
Oh, I see. So somebody's going with those tickets anyway.
Scalping.
Good. Anyway, 105 is game number one starting, and don't worry, like I said, about a few showers, a few golden showers, no problem. You got Hurricane Hotline, 8 o'clock tonight, Eddie K at 10. I don't want to rub it in about the Dolphins losing to a little girl, not just a girls' team, but a little girls' team last night. They make that dramatic comeback there at the end of the game, and you're thinking, okay, now we're going to overtime. Now they finally got the offense going, old A.J. Touchy-Feely. We got Olinda Mare, who had to kick the kick twice there. because of the clever timeout they took. But nevertheless, drilled it right through there to tie the game. And you're thinking, okay, no problem. Even though it's an embarrassment and the play was grotesque and horrendous and the offensive line was as offensive as it gets. And guess what? Here comes the Bengals, who look more like the Bangles, and they come marching right down the field, kick the 40, what was it, 40, no, it wasn't, 38, 39, right?
39, I believe.
That's what I just said. 39-yard field goal, and bada bing, everybody go home, game's over. You lose to a little girls' team. 11:13 at 560 WQAM. There's only one place to even think about when it comes to fitting up your feet with some great shoes for men and women, and it's Brandy's in Pompano Beach. They've been around forever. At Brandy's, you get the best service, the unbeatable prices that they're famous for, and all the top names in the shoe business like Rockports, Flourishine, SAS, Sperry, Timberland, Naturalizer, and all the others too. And with Brandy's humongous selection, chances are, in fact, you could bet Greg, Clarence, and Duff's lives, all three of them on it, that whatever style you're looking for, it's in stock, on a shelf, ready to slap on your foot right now. Brandy's is open daily, Monday through Saturday, 9 till 9, Sundays 10 till 5, and you'll find them at 1290 North Federal Highway in Pompano Beach. No matter where you live, it's worth the trip. Stock up on a whole bunch of shoes. And, again this week, you can buy New Balance at tremendous savings, even more than usual at Brandy's. Take 20% off on all great men's and women's New Balance styles. So be sure and come into the store this week or visit them on the web at brandysshoes.com.
You're listening to Neil Rogers exclusively on 560 QAM.
P-A-Y-S-U-G-A-N. We have a different point of view. Now we're in turn and our lives are through. Bye-bye, I'm dead, so long. Bye-bye, so long. See you in the shower. See you when they get about to you. Here we are, all patiently waiting, asphyxiating. When the bubbles start to spread, who steps in line? But remember, there is danger in what you're seeing on Fox News. When I see you in the shower, here's a tip for you. You won't need a towel. For you, take the centers and get you. Bye-bye, I'm dead, so long. Bye-bye, so long.
I'm tired out here.
11:19 at 560 WQAM. Boy, he must have got the good stuff in last week. I don't know where he got it from, but we'd like to find out.
Yeah, me too.
673 votes on this poll. How do you like that? 673. It's a good thing we started this ahead of time because I knew it was a damn short show today. Which of these applies to you? Very important scientific. We're going to take this evidence and we're going to plop it right on Greg Reed's desk and say, there, have somebody read this to you. I listened to Neil, not to Stern, 452, 67.1%. That's two-thirds of this audience.
You turd.
I've always listened to Stern and Neil, 181, 26.8%. You're cracking your knuckles. That's bad for you.
Yes, that's all right.
How do they say that's bad for you?
They do. They say a lot of stupid things.
Yeah, it's a stupid thing. Crack your knuckles all you want, okay? That's the only crack that we approve of on this show. Well, I don't want to get screwed upset. I listened to Stern on another station, 24. That's 3.5%. That's not good. But what is really good, I'm a Stern listener and a new listener, Neil, 16. 2.3%. We got 16 new listeners. Wow. Man, that is pretty dang exciting.
In another hour, we'll have 20.
Well, we'll see. And we only got another hour and 10 minutes anyway. Of course, in the noon to 12:30, I want to warn you ahead of time. What? No, the audience really owes me because I don't want to, lead you on. I don't want to give you a false sense of there's going to be a show between noon and noon 30. Noon 30. We got the Water Nazis got 3 4-minute breaks on her again in a half an hour. So obviously we're just faking it in that half hour. We just got a lot of spots to get in so we can get paid by the clients. We have no interest in providing you with any entertainment, information, anything in the noon to 12:30. That's not my decision or George or Miguel or even Josh Cordes who's out there holding Dave Van Boring's hand at the stadium because it's raining, and he has to hold it and squeeze it. It's just the way it is. The powers that be want the money, and they don't really give a crap about the audience, which is very obvious the way that they engineer the whole Stern thing. They don't really care about the Neil Rogers audience, especially the two-thirds of the audience who don't listen to Howard in the morning. I mean, we wish they all did. We love Howard Stern being on there because supposedly it's going to make us a lot more money, and I have to work a lot less. And see, Friday I got really porky because that thing, 11 o'clock, it was like they never wanted to end. You know, it just was a little over the top, I thought.
It's tedious waiting.
Yeah. I mean, if we knew, in other words, if they told us ahead of time, okay, we're leaving this morning at 10:45, okay, we got enough material, but no, you just sit there waiting and anticipating and palpitating and crepitating and just waiting. I mean, like, we done yet? Is it soup yet? You know, that kind of thing. So I was a little porky about that. But having reconsidered over the weekend, I like these 5-minute shows.
Damn straight.
Top Democrats slapped back yesterday at a remark by House Speaker Denny Hastert that al-Qaeda leaders want Senator John Kerry to beat President Bush in November, picking up a page from the Dick Cheney songbook. Mm-hmm. At a campaign rally Saturday in his Illinois district with Vice President Dick Cheney, Hastert said al-Qaeda would like to influence this election with an attack similar to the train bombings in Madrid days before the Spanish national election in March. When a reporter asked Hastert if he thought al-Qaeda would operate with more comfort if Kerry were elected, the speaker said, "That's my opinion." Yes. Democratic National Committee Chairman Terry McAuliffe called Hastert's comments disgraceful, saying there was no room for this in our political discourse. I got a story here if I can ever get it to print out. In fact, you know what? I think I'll read it right off the thing because I don't have time. We just don't have time to do anything. And this Smirking Chimp, we love Smirking Chimp, and we use a lot of their stories, and I sent them money, and the guy emailed me back, and I guess he didn't like our website or whatever, but we don't really care. Come on, get with it here already. About the real forged documents, tampering with documents in Bush's National Guard record. We're not talking about CBS. We're talking about tampering that they've discovered that went on to cover up the hanky-panky, the fact that you got an AWOL president. Boy, this thing comes out so slow. Have you ever tried to get on this thing?
Smirking Chimp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some days it's just, it takes forever to... Well, it's working on it. In the meantime, we got more important things than presidential election and wars and people dying and stuff like that. Macaulay Culkin. You see this story?
Yeah.
He's kind of sulking, old Macaulay Culkin.
Oh, well.
He just, makes my blood curdle. I can't stand even seeing the side of that clown, that creature, that thing. Anyway, the 24-year-old Macaulay Culkin was jailed and charged with possessing marijuana and a dangerous controlled substance without a prescription, police said. He and another man were arrested after the car they were traveling in was pulled over in Oklahoma City on Friday. Culkin, best known for his role in the film Home Alone and his spot in bed next to Michael Jackson, was later released after paying a $4,000 bond. A report from Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office said authorities confiscated about 17 grams of marijuana from a vehicle in which Culkin was a passenger. Also found 16 milligrams of prescription medications used to control anxiety and seizures, it said. How do you like that? Their vehicle had been stopped by officers driving 70 in the 60 and for making an improper lane change. He's been under a lot of stress. Not that I want to stick up for him, but he's had a lot of problems. You know, didn't he get married when he was about like 10 years old?
Something like that, yeah.
After Michael kind of like broke him in. Now, let's see, am I going to be able to do this? I'm going to give it my best shot. Okay, I'm clicking over here. Well, this thing sometimes, I guess they don't have that much bandwidth or something. Am I getting too technical for myself?
That might be a issue.
Yeah, it might be an issue. Anyway, at least 2 documents in President George W. Bush's Texas Air National Guard file show signs of tampering. The physical anomalies in the documents, discovered by researcher Paul Lukasiak, suggest that changes were made in the documents after they were generated, perhaps to mask potentially embarrassing information about the president's service, okay?
Okay.
So, doctor, the question now is who's got the real documents and who's got the doctored documents? Lukasiak and Ross Story were among the sources upon which the Boston Globe drew upon when composing their article, stating Bush failed to meet requirements of the Guard. Both parties have steered clear of and were not in the source for the controversial documents unveiled by 60 Minutes. Okay, so this is a totally different story. And it's actually got pictures. I'm going to get this on our website if it's the last thing I do. I try to I already did that. In fact, let's get it on there today, Eric, while you're recuperating from your all-night stupor. The latest discovery concerns 2 records in Bush's Guard file, as obtained by the Freedom of Information Request 2000. The first discrepancy is in the remarks of the President's discharge form, formerly known as the Report of Separation and Record of Service. And it's got a copy of that. It shows, it's just too long and ponderous. But there you are. It'll be on our website, neilrogers.com. Take a long look at it and weep, okay? Because just like that secretary said to the now dead, whatever he was, Lieutenant General.
Mm-hmm.
Remember her?
Yes,
the old bag, the 86-year-old broad that was on with Dan Rather? She said, even though she doesn't believe those were the original documents, that they essentially said exactly what the original documents did say, and that what was in them was absolutely correct, is what she said. They are
absolutely correct, sir.
In fact, I think that's her voice on there right now, not the bridge center, that's her. So don't confuse us with the facts, and of course the fact that this right-wing blogger from FreeRepublic.com, this Freeper, Jeepers Creepers, it was all started by a Freeper. Well, what credibility does that have? Any?
No.
None. N-U-N, baby, none, as in singing. 26 past 11 at 560 WQAM. We only got an hour to go, and then once we get to noon, we don't have like how many seconds we got?
About 30, man.
We don't have time to fart, thank God, in that noon to 12:30 hour, because we don't want to get Joyce upset. We don't want to get Joyce upset. If you're on the Atkins, which so many people are, the South Beach Sugar Busters are running low-carb, sugar-free diet. Did you see the thing with the fat people on 60 Minutes last night?
No, I missed it.
The rice diet? Oh, man. One guy, two of them weighed over 600 pounds. Anyway, if you're on one of the low-carb diets, head for a great store, Delights of West Boca. For years, Delights has helped thousands of low-carb dieters achieve their weight loss goals, and now Delights of West Boca is celebrating their 14th Big Fat anniversary with special discounts of up to 50% off on low-carb products like Carbolite, Pure Delight, Carb Sense, and all the others. Is their anniversary super special? You can save half off all Atkins brand foods and supplements, too. And don't forget their fantastic selection of low-carb bakery items, things with some great taste like cheesecakes, breads, rolls, even brownies. And as always at Delights, you can try any item in the store before you buy it. Their staff knows low-carb dieting inside and out. They're open every day till 10 p.m. Don't forget that guaranteed lowest price policy on all Atkins, Carbolite, and Pure Delight products. Delights of West Boca will not be undersold. You'll find them on the northeast corner of Glades and 441 right next to Boston Market. Or you can call them at 1-877-LOW-CARB or on the web it's lowcarb.com. That's LOWCARB. Don't forget the one and only Delights of West Boca. It's your official Atkins Retail Center.
You're listening to Neil Rogers. WQAM.
It's Howard. Howard Spam.
This is Al Franken. Jim Bob Newsom has been hailed as one of America's greatest songwriters.
The river of freedom runs out your hole.
And when it comes to parodies, columnist Mitzi Mermelstein of the Penny Saver called Jim Bob Newsom the greatest comedy writer since Milt Kamen.
Politicians don't tell the truth, and they lie.
Now, as a Grateful Dead fan, I appreciate the enormous talent of Jim Bob Newsom, because to me, he sounds just like Jerry Garcia.
I'm going to Costa Rica, 'cause they got Costa Ricans selling shrink wrap shoes.
Now, no one else is as good as Jim Bob Newsom. Get your Jim Bob Newsom CD now at IMadeThisInMyToilet.com. Now.
11:32, that Al Franken, man, what a kidder, you know, he's really something. I can't say the word on the air. Judge strikes down campaign finance rules, this just in. We don't want to get too newsy now, but nevertheless. A judge has struck down more than a dozen of the government's current rules on political fundraising with just weeks to go before Election Day, concluding federal regulators improperly weakened the nation's campaign finance law. U.S. District Judge Colleen Kohler-Cotelli ordered the Federal Election Commission to write new rules to govern key aspects of fundraising, including when candidates and outside parties can coordinate activities. The judge did not specifically address how candidates and political parties in the heat of current campaigns should act in the absence of the rules. The law's main provisions banning most large donations are unaffected, but issues involving coordination must be addressed by regulators, for example. A commission member said today he wants the government to try to block the ruling from taking effect. If the ruling is not stayed, many key parts of the federal election laws will be in chaos, said Commissioner Michael Toner, a Republican. Kohler-Cotelli ruled some of the regulations the FEC devised after the law was passed in 2002 would create an immense loophole and allow for abuses that lawmakers who wrote the law never intended. How do you like that? The judge's ruling was released Saturday on a court website discovered today by the key parties. The key parties found it today. And the ruling, too. Now, this might make you feel a little bit better about life, those of you who don't want 4 more years of fascism, those of you who aren't multi-billionaires, those of you who aren't religious fanatics waiting for the Armageddon and for Jesus to come sit on your Totino's pizza while you're waiting to eat it. That's better than eating the wafer, though, isn't it?
Okay, if you say so.
Have
you ever had a wafer?
If you're going to eat. No, I never had one of them wafers. What do they taste like?
They're not bad, actually.
Really?
Like a rice cracker.
Oh, my God. You macking on that Jesus
Very
again.
light. Not enough of it.
Steve Soto writes, you should ignore Friday's Gallup poll. And haven't I told you the Gallup poll has always been tilting toward the right? Haven't I said that? It says ignore their Friday Gallup poll and maybe all of theirs. He says this morning, meaning Friday, we awoke to the startling news that despite a flurry of different polls last week, all showing a tied race, the venerable Gallup poll, as reported widely in the media, USA Today, CNN, showed George W. Bush with a huge 55-42% lead over John Kerry among likely voters. The same Gallup poll showed an 8-point lead for Bush among registered voters. Before you get discouraged by these results, you should be more upset that Gallup gets major media outlets to tout these polls and present a false, disappointing account of the actual state of the race. Why? Because the Gallup poll, despite its reputation, assumes that this November, 40% of those turning out to vote will be Republicans, and only 33%, only a third, will be Democrats. You read that correctly. I asked Gallup, who has been very courteous to my request, to send me this morning their sample breakdowns by party identification for both their likely and registered voter samples they use in these national and I suspect their state polls. This is what I got back this morning. He's got the story's on our website, but I'm not going to say read the numbers. In both polls, Gallup oversamples greatly for the GOP and undersamples the Democrats. Worse yet, Gallup just confirmed for me this is the same sampling methodology they've been using this whole election season for all of their national and state polls. Gallup says that this breakdown between Republicans and Democrats was not a constant. It can differ slightly between surveys in response to my latest email. Slightly? Does that mean that all of these national and state polls we've seen from Gallup that they've slightly varied between 36 to 40% GOP and 32 to 36% Democrat? I already know from an email I got from Gallup earlier in the week that in their suspicious Wisconsin and Minnesota polls, they seemingly oversampled for the GOP and undersampled for the Democrats. For example, in Wisconsin, in which they now show Bush with a healthy lead, Gallup used a sample comprised of 38% Republicans and 32% Democratic likely voters. In Minnesota, where Gallup shows Bush gaining a small lead, their sample reflects a composition of 36 Republican and 34% Democratic likely voters. How realistic is either breakdown in those states on Election Day? According to John Zogby, the renowned pollster himself, if we look at the last 3 presidential elections, the spread was 34% Democrats, 34% Republicans, and 33% independents in 92 and Ross Perot in the race. In 96, 39% Democrats, 34% Republicans, 27% independents. And in 2000, Democrats 39%, Republicans 35%, 26% independents. So the Democrats have been 39% of the voting populace in both 96 and 2000. The GOP has not been higher than 35% among either one of those elections. Yet Gallup trumpets a poll that used a sample that shows a GOP bias of 40% among likely voters and 38% among registered voters, with the Democratic portion of the sample down to levels they haven't seen since the strong three-way race in 92. Folks, unless Karl Rove can discourage the Democratic base into staying home in droves and gets the GOP to come out of the woodwork, there's no way in hell that these or any other Gallup polls can be taken seriously. How likely is it that the Democrats will suffer a 7-point difference against the GOP this November, or that the GOP will ever hit 40%? Not very likely. The real problem here is that Gallup is spreading false impressions of this race. Through its 1992 partnership with 2 international media outlets, CNN and USA Today, Gallup is telling voters and other media, by using badly sampled polls, that the GOP and its candidates are more popular than they really are. Given that Gallup's CEO is a GOP donor, this should not be a surprise. But it does require us to remind the media, like Susan Page of USA Today, who wrote the lead story on the poll in the morning paper Friday, and other members of the media who cite this poll that is based on a faulty sample composition of 40% GOP and 33% Democratic. Isn't that disgusting and make you want to puke?
Yes, it does.
In other words, if we go out and we sample a whole bunch more Republicans than we do Democrats, oh, guess what? Bush is way ahead at the end of all of that. What a surprise. Huh? Sounds like that old Greg Reed methodology again. Lie through your teeth, baby. Like Condoleezza, man. That's why she's got that big gap there, okay? Bet you didn't know that. She's got that big gap so she can lie profusely through her freaking ugly teeth.
The Union Gap is what I heard.
Yeah, that's right. That's why they wave the Union Jack all the time. Do you know that W used to have the Confederate flag on his wall when he was a student? Yes, he did.
I had a Confederate flag T-shirt when I was a Piker.
Well, racist. 756 votes on the poll so far. This is kind of like a slop over from last night that we started the brand new one to catch you by surprise. I guess it caught Eric by surprise more than anybody else because everybody else was asleep. 756 votes. Which of these applies to you? I listened to Neil, not the Stern, 501, 66.2%, about two-thirds. I've always listened to both Stern and Neil, 209. I listened to Stern on another station, 28, and that's not so great, 3.7%, because they want to hear, first of all, the better sound quality on FM, and secondly, they want to actually hear the show, not that whole Swiss cheese thing. And when Howard does his Friday show this week on the hemorrhoid contest, even Muff warned me that could be like an abortion.
All music show?
Yeah, a lot of music. And I'm a Stern listener and a new listener, Neil, 2.3%, to which we say, we love you. How do you like that? That's a little better than we thought.
We'll take it.
That's what we've always said. That's our motto at QAM on his show. We build our audience one listener at a time. Make no mistake about it. Because it costs too much money to do it any other way. 20 till noon at 560 WQAM, and right now, Armstrong Ford of Homestead wants to clear their lots and sell off all remaining 04s. Here are just some of the great deals waiting for you right now. An 04 F-150 pickup, you pay just $1 over invoice. New 04 Explorers, just $1 over invoice. Rangers, not the New York Rangers, they're not playing right now. And neither are your Panthers, by the way, don't send them any money. Rangers, Convex, Tauruses, and Focuses, all waiting for you with just $1 over invoice only at Armstrong Ford of Homestead. Plus, Armstrong Ford offers more value to its loyal customers. When you buy your Ford from Armstrong, you'll get their exclusive Tires and Batteries for Life program. That is correct. You get tires and batteries for life. The value you'll get at Armstrong Ford doesn't stop there either, because right now they're offering you a free Florida Sun Pass with any vehicle you buy at their joint. Pressed for time, Armstrong knows that your time is valuable, so call them at this number, 305-247-5112, and shop right over the phone. They'll even deliver that spiffy new vehicle right to you wherever you are hanging it out. Armstrong Ford of Homestead, locally owned and operated. They treat you just like family, and I guarantee you won't get a better deal on a Ford anywhere in South Florida. No bait and switch, no BS, no phony deals. Armstrong Ford of Homestead, you'll find them at 30725 South Dixie Highway, just 20 minutes south of the 836. Check them out on the web at armstrongcars.com. Drive a little and save a ton. Literally hundreds, maybe thousands on that new Ford only at Armstrong Ford of Homestead.
You're listening to Neil Rogers exclusively on 560 QAM.
She's oily, and old. Looks like the gross guy. Smells from the body roll mold. Barbara Bush had 40,000 eyes full of her eyes popped out. It happened when she realized she raised more criminal clowns. Barbara Bush has 40,000 eyes. And she's nasty, old and crafty, and she raised for fights and Nazis. She's atrocious and takes offerings to anyone who says they want no Bush. Walks like she's carrying a bowling ball between her thighs and has 40,000 eyes. She doesn't need to talk, as if she's always surprised. She'd wiggle when she talks. Barbara Bush has 40,000 eyes. She gave us George Bush and Jeb Bush, not to mention Neil and Marvin Bush. Filthy rich and fat, and smells just like the magic sauce on a big hat. Barbara Bush resembles Ernest Borgnine on a bad day with 40,000 eyes.
14 till noon at 560 WQAM. Happy Monday to you. I went out yesterday over the weekend, got 2 books. I got the Seymour Hersh book, Chain of Command, The Road from 9/11 to
Abu Ghraib.
Rips the Bushmeister and all his Nazi colleagues an ass, and then even bigger book. Wow. This thing has got like almost 700 pages. The Kitty Kelley book, The Family, The Real Story of the Bush Dynasty.
Wow.
And I started leafing through didn't have time to really get into it because it's, like I said, 700 pages long. But talk about a great rip job. And also she talks about the slice job that the Bush campaign did. Karl Rove and Bush and Company on John McCain in the South Carolina primary in 2000. I mean, just unbelievable. And, of course, everybody's got a short memory, and there was Bush with the McCain, kissing and hugging and squeezing it and everything else. Although McCain did say that Bush's policy in Iraq blows, something like that. I'm paraphrasing slightly. Oh. Now, we're getting to that book. Writer Kitty Kelley has accused the White House of putting pressure on her and the U.S. media over the new biography on the family of President George W. Bush. The family, the real story of the Bush dynasty, which alleges, or as the Brits say, dynasty, which alleges that Bush took cocaine at Camp David when his father was president, became an instant bestseller after its publication this week, but it's been strongly condemned by the presidency. Well, no doubt. I've had the pressure of the White House, Kelley, a veteran of biographical polemics, told a conference in Washington late Thursday, linked to the release of her book. It was published last Tuesday. It was under embargo until that time, so there were no copies available. Days before publication, the White House issued a formal statement saying that the book was garbage and nobody should read it. Kelley also said the White House had called the president of NBC News to urge the network not to invite her to talk about the new book. How do you like that? Not that they're trying to control the media. You do understand that. No. Larry King did not extend an invitation. I have done a show for every book that I've ever written, she said of the star CNN talk show host, huh? Uh-huh. How do you like that? Maybe if she slipped him a 50, that might change his mind. The 733-page tome is heavy with Kelley's trademark mix of scandal and sexual innuendo and paints a deeply unflattering portrait of the Bush dynasty that's been condemned by the White House as a politically motivated smear job ahead of the November 2nd presidential election. Kelley said she interviewed 988 people for the book. If it's in the book, it's corroborated, she said. There's a lot I left out of the book. Among those quoted are Sharon Bush, an ex-wife of one of the president's brothers, Neil Bush, who was said to have confirmed the cocaine incident. Sharon Bush, of course, has since denied this because she values her life.
What are you?
I met Sharon Bush. I beg your pardon?
I said, how you doing?
I met Sharon Bush at a little restaurant. It was a 4-hour lunch, and Sharon Bush talked about everything, Kelley said. She talked about her father-in-law's infidelity. She talked about the mistresses of George Herbert Walker Bush. She talked about her tormented relationship with the Bush family. I said, Sharon, have you ever heard about George W. doing drugs at Camp David when his father was president? And she said, yes, many times. Kelley said Sharon Bush's publicist has corroborated everything. But I'm not really surprised that she's backing off because this is a very powerful family. Sharon said over lunch that she was afraid of the Bushes. Kelley went on to say, I really do think they are the most powerful in America, the most powerful family in the world. She denied she had any political agenda, explaining the book was started in 2000. I personally come from a large Republican family, she said. My father voted for both Bush Uno and Bush Dos, as in let's not have another dose of that. You know what I mean? Let's not do it again. Oh, I think that thing's on autopilot.
Your vote's automatically.
Yeah, it's on autopilot. We'll have time to play that again. Trust me. All right, we'll make time. In fact, if we have to slop over a little bit in the ball game, well, maybe not. Well, if other people can do it, why can't we, huh? The pregame show's been preempted by a bunch of bedtime stories. Oh, speaking of bedtime stories, I don't know if we can talk about this because it talks about pulling pork off the shelves. Okay. I don't think Joyce is going to be too happy about that. The headline on this from the CNN website, is that a microchip in my meat? And, of course, back in the day, we could have had some fun with that, but I guess we better not now. No fun. More than 1,000 pounds of pork processed at a Sioux Center meatpacking plant was recalled over the weekend because a microchip could be embedded in the meat. And, man, there's nothing worse than sitting down for a juicy pork chop or whatever and finding out there's a microchip embedded in your meat. The Supreme Packing Company recalled 110 pork shoulder butts. All right. Which is known as rectum. About 1,100 pounds of meat that contain the metal devices used to measure scientific data in hogs. The animals, and especially at Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur time, don't eat no pork chops, okay? Maybe a couple of cheeseburgers, bacon cheeseburgers, all right, but not pork chops. You'll definitely burn in hell. The animals processed September 10 were part of a research herd that had been sent to slaughter without the proper notification that they had chips implanted, said Supreme Vice President Jim Malik. What a great name that is. It's S-I-O-U-X, as in Sioux City, Iowa. Okay. Supreme. Huh. These hogs have gone into the delivery at our harvest plant in Sioux Center without any notification or declaration that they carry the device, he said. The meat have been sent to processors in Colorado, Iowa, and Mexico. None of the meat appears to have reached consumers yet, he said. Recipients were notified to return the meat, which will be either inspected and cleared for use or destroyed. Malik said he didn't know who had implanted the chips in the hogs, but the hogs were healthy, had been cleared by the USDA inspectors for processing, yada, yada. So if you find that there's a microchip in your meat, I'd call the police right away. Call the pork police. Oh, and speaking of porky people, Karl Rove, who's a real major hole. Did Karl Rove dodge the draft? Wouldn't that be just another embarrassment? We got a whole bunch of neocon draft-dodging chicken hawks up there. And here's another one, the main mover and shaker there, the brains behind the Neanderthals. Except for a lapse of several months. Now, the whole story's on our website. Time prohibits us for more. We just don't have time for the whole thing. Except for a lapse of several months, Selective Service records show presidential advisor Karl Rove, Nazi-in-chief, escaped the draft for nearly 3 years at the height of the war in Vietnam using student deferments. Rove's avoidance of military service during the Vietnam War has become an issue in an ongoing presidential campaign debate regarding the military records of President Bush and challenger Senator John Kerry. Bush's supporters have attacked Kerry's war declarations and statements he made opposing the war, and Kerry backers insist that Bush was quietly ushered into the protective ranks of the National Guard to avoid combat, then failed to fulfill the last months of service obligation. Democrats cast Rove as the mastermind of a hypocritical Bush team that managed to avoid the draft and now cynically encourages questions about Kerry's 3 Purple Hearts. Last April, Kerry even mentioned Rove by name along with Vice President Cheney, saying the two men went out of their way to avoid their chance to serve. Draft dodgers, phony baloney, chicken hawks, sacrificing over 1,000 American lives, while of course they themselves were cowards. I just mentioned that in passing. Speaking of coward rhymes with Howard, let's take a look at the poll. 811 votes already. How do you like that?
Wow, smoking.
See, it's a good thing we started this baby overnight. It would have been, probably had 1,500 votes already if Eric wouldn't have been out gallivanting around all night. Now, they probably went away for the weekend. Or maybe he heavily sedated his lovely wife and he went away for the weekend. You never know. Or maybe he just went out on an eating binge, touring all of the fast food joints all weekend. That's possible. 814 votes. Which of these applies to you? I listened to Neil, not the Stern. 536, 65.8%. So that's good, a little bit better, about 66%. A little bit, right?
A little bit.
Still not too good. I've always listened to both Stern and Neil, 227, 27.8%. I listened to Stern on another station, 32, 3.9%. Muff, by the way, says that is unacceptable. Don't be doing that. He wants you to hear every dump. And Joyce ain't too happy about playing in dumps on here either. And I'm a Stern listener and a new Neil Rogers listener. 19. Oh God. Oh. 19. Speaking of she's 19, I don't know how now she's 22 now. Pop star Britney Spears did it again. Oh, see, they just she did it again. Oh, no. Your vote's automatically. Anyway, pop star Britney Spears did it again and got married for the second time this year, this time to dancer Kevin Federline in a private ceremony in Studio City, California. Access Hollywood reported yesterday. Aren't you bummed out about that?
Yeah, whatever.
She's not looking that good lately. I mean, I know she still looks good, but not that good.
The bloom is starting to fade.
She looks like she's well worn at this point, if you catch my drift.
Oh.
Spears 22 and Federline 26. Kind of like Screw-Ann, you know, well worn. Spears 22 and Federline 26 surprised their parents with the unexpected ceremony, which she seems to be pretty big on that every time she gets a few belts in her, which took place in a private residence, according to a publicist for the syndicated entertainment news program, Access Hollywood. Is that the one that jackass is on? What the hell's his name? With a mustache? He used to be a sports nerd. You know the one I'm talking about.
I think that's Entertainment Tonight.
Can't stand that guy. Spears married high school sweetheart. Well, we already know about that. Spears and Federline announced their engagement in June. Federline's got 2 children with former girlfriend, Shara Jackson. Former girlfriend. Not a wife, but then again, that's the way things are these days.
You're listening to Neil Rogers exclusively on 560. This is Dick Cheney. I like to relax by having Mary Magdalene massage my balls while listening to the Neil Rogers 12 to 1 hour.
George Bush, there's a place you can land so that you can avoid Vietnam. Now you said you served active duty just fine, but you be absent in your mind. George Bush, your position's at stake, cause John Kerry is out to seal your fate. It's those questions about the National Guard that might leave your reputation scarred. It's fun to say your WOLL. What a funny thing the military can find. Where you were in that 1 year's time. You partied and you went AWOL. Your daddy helped you go AWOL.
Absolutely.
If you'd only come clean with a story that's real, you might earn back voter appeal.
1201 at 560 WQAM. We're counting down to the Marlins pregame show. Gigantic, huge doubleheader against the Cubs today. If the Marlins really want any chance to make that wild card, I would say they got to win both games, wouldn't you, Miguel?
Absolutely.
We need a sweep, is what we need. Got to have a sweep today, baby, or else looking pretty grim. At any rate, 12:30 pregame, 1:05 game time. And yeah, it's been raining and pishing around a little bit, but it's all dissipating. I checked the radar. Everything is just fine.
Oh, we're fine.
Okay, so get after the ball game. No excuses. Airline passengers face tighter security. That starts today. You may be noticing that, those of you who have just come through the airport on the way in. Of course, on the way in, they don't check you, but nevertheless, you might be watching what they're doing to the other people on the way out. Go in and out. Starting this week, all airline passengers must take off their jacket. Now, why are they just starting that now?
They got to take their hat and jacket off.
What did you just say?
So how you doing?
Must take off their jackets. See, no matter what you do. No wonder Greg hates you like poison. And Joyce, I don't want to tell you. I can't say the word what she feels about you. Airline passengers must take off their jackets before passing through metal detectors, and more will be subjected to pat-down searches and checks for explosives. In other words, if they see kind of like a little bulge somewhere in your body, they're going to be patting it down. Yeah, or like if you have a strange package. Screeners will advise passengers of the new procedures when they put their carry-on bags on the conveyor belt. TSA spokeswoman Yolanda Clark be saying. The goal is to fortify our screening procedures to detect the presence of explosives carried on a person or in carry-on luggage. Of course, you're still going to be able to carry, 15 cigarette lighters?
Right.
Oh, no, now it's down to a dozen, I think. Right, and 2 hand grenades, down to a dozen lighters. Bags checked onto planes must pass through machines that can detect various kinds of explosives, but neither the walk-through metal detectors that passengers use on the way to gates nor the X-ray machines for carry-on bags can sense plastic explosives. So now, every passenger selected for secondary screening after passing through metal detectors will have their carry-on items subjected to checks by explosive trace detectors. They've been doing that for a long time. I guess now they're just doing it more widespread. Well, every now and then they had that little thing with the little moistened felt thing on the end of it.
I don't want to touch that.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. No, that's what I said, too. I don't want to touch that either. They insisted. Air Travelers Association President David Stepler said the changes are a good idea, though some passengers could be upset by hand searches. And, of course, that all depends on where they stick their hand.
And what they look like.
Extraordinary need for it, given the recent bombing of the planes in Russia, heightened security alerts, tension leading up to the election. I think these are the necessary evils that passengers are going to have to put up with, he said. 2 Chechen women are suspected of carrying bombs onto those 2 Russian planes that exploded almost simultaneously last month. We got to do a break.
Yeah, I know.
What?
Nothing.
I warned you, folks. This half hour is strictly, it's Sam the Scam is what this is. There's no show. 860 votes. Which of these applies to you? I listened to Neil, not to Stern. 563, 65.4%. I've always listened to both Stern and Neil, 244. We sure love those people a lot, 28.3%. I listened to Stern on another station, 3.7%. I was sick and tired of all those bleeps. And I'm a Stern listener and a new listener to Neil, 21. Now, I'm just blown away. Isn't that amazing?
Totally
good.
20.
You're right. Dry Concepts has long helped keep your carpets clean and healthy, and right now they stand ready to help return your house to normal if you had water damage like so many people did from Hurricane Francis. They made arrangements to be a staging area for water damage restoration services. Help has come in from northern states, and so now they have an abundance of equipment to help with the restoration process. If you need help with your carpeting, your drapery, all of these things to put your house back into shape, try their main number at Dry Concepts. It's toll-free, 1-800-248-5071. That's 1-800-248-5071. If you can't get through on that number, try 954-214-6924 or 954-444-9276 or 954-214-6923. Once again, if you got water damage from Hurricane Francis, Dry Concepts is ready to help restore your home back to its normal state and look brand spanking new. Call them today at that main number. They'll be there in no time at all. Call 1-800-248-5071. That's 1-800-248-5071.
You're listening to Neil Rogers exclusively. WQAM.
Greg hates you.
Absolutely.
Your vote's automatically calculated by computers at the GOP. Manipulated this time. Don't let the fascist neocons screw us again. The brother governor that's running Florida, no doubt's got another plan to get your vote up. This time don't let the fascist neocons screw us again. Let us in, Bush staffers in, means white faces, the man that's to get in. Let us in, we don't live here. Let us in, we like represent. Then goes triangle Bush, ensure the good. And there's no my loins with fun of real. Jews kill Christ, boy. Jews kill Christ. Bush is appointed by God. Back, we can't see back. If your government round, then your vote will get thrown out. Back, except for a hard vote, swinging laws in bags. Well, it won't matter who or what you vote, like it's rigged for Bush too. Within a landslide this time, don't let the fascist neocons screw us again.
If you're darker than light brown, your vote is surely going to hit the ground. That's it. That's where it's at. And of course, the media goes like that. I mean, there was nothing revolutionary about that. All them dark folks that got prevented from voting and put on those felon rules, all that other stuff. Just one of them things, you know. As the media continues taking the money in their pocket, looking the other way. 11 past noon. I beg your pardon. We don't have time to interrupt each other because we only got a very short show. In fact, it's time for another break almost. Here's a fax from Ray, who says, Ray Denzel in Washington. He says, I viewed the 9/11 Pentagon strike video several times. Yeah, all you people out there that look at our website. Oh, I never even mentioned Adrian Barbeau today. I'm so sorry. You see, this is what happens. We get,
when you get backed up.
No, you get thrown off your feed. In other words, we generally have kind of like a system of the way we do things here.
I apologize
profusely for not even mentioning the beaded curtain, although in this particular case, probably better off.
That's a good picture.
It is not a good picture. It's oh my God. Man. She's got that one gigantic breast the size of Vermont, and
another one that matches it on the other side.
No, it's kind of like the other one is the one that's missing from Mariah Carey. Adrian Barbeau, and she don't need any introduction, okay? All you TV nerds, you know who the hell that is. So she's on the beaded curtain today, and view it at your own risk. Anyway, Ray says, I viewed the 9/11 Pentagon strike video several times. I had my whole family watch it. My feeling that comes over me each time is chilling. The German speaking adds to the subterfuge of the facts of this event. How do you like that? The German speaking in that thing. Yeah. The Spielmeister. The real definition of the American public, says Ray, is chumps. Docile lemmings being led to slaughter. Hey, Ray, you are
absolutely correct, sir.
And they showed that on CNN. I mentioned last week that survey they've done all around the world, 35 different countries where Kerry just pounds the heck out of Bush. Let's let the whole world vote, okay? How come they're all onto you? They're all onto these Nazis.
Because they're all commies, remember?
Here in Canada, 61% for Kerry, 16% for Booch.
Commies.
And that includes, of course, all them redneck cowboys out there in Alberta and wherever.
Commie cowboys.
Right, kamikaze cowboys. The programming, also Ray says, the programming decisions by Greg Reed have been laughable at best. Your program should start at 10 a.m. whether Stern is done or not. The way it's done now is not professional, sloppy at best. You want to be prepared and on time, not whenever the mood strikes. I like the way that Ray is starting to tell me what I want, all of these things, you know. I want to be prepared and on time.
Do you want it?
The remarks about less work for same money ring true for all. However, the quality of your show will suffer, which bothers you very much. It bothers you very much, Ray says.
He's in your head.
Especially now that it's only the 20th and the 25th is 5 whole days away.
You're listening to Neil Rogers exclusively on 560 QAM.
Gotcha, Darren.
new on the Geriatric Channel.
You came here to put me in a hole.
From the makers of Pimp My Ride, it's Pimp My Walker.
Whoa, shizzle my nizzle.
Then use a chicken.
This walker is spunky.
That walker is wicked.
I can fly.
You is fly, man.
Pimp My Walker. $30 in detachable colostomy bags sold separately.
Right on, cowboy.
12:18 at 560 WQAM, just moments away from the pregame show. Marlins and the Cubs at PP Park. Huge, gigantic, big doubleheader today. George is even excited about it, aren't you?
Oh, I am excited about it.
Because we get out of here in just a few minutes.
Right.
In like in 11 minutes, not that we're counting. Halliburton is a handy target for Democrats in the fall of... Now, wait till you hear the timing on this.
Okay.
In the fall of 2002, keeping in mind that the Iraq attack was the spring of 2003, in the fall of 2002, a group of Pentagon advisors assessing the condition of Iraq's oil fields saw the need for a plan to repair damage from the impending war. The effort had to be secret because the government had not publicly committed itself to fighting, and it had to be done by trustworthy experts. The Energy Infrastructure Planning Group turned to a familiar resource, Halliburton Company, the global services company, where Dick Cheney was chief executive until a couple of weeks after he was nominated for vice president.
Oh, my God.
Just a coincidence, you understand?
Right.
It was a small project worth $1.9 million to a company that brought in $12.6 billion in revenue that year, but it turned out to be the bridge to something much larger. 4 months later, Pentagon officials granted Kellogg Brown and Root Incorporated, Halliburton's engineering and construction subsidiary, one of the contracting plums of the war, a classified no-bid deal worth up to $7 billion to do the restoration work. Details about the genesis of those secret contracts have become part of an intensifying election year effort by Democrats in Congress and the presidential campaign of John Kerry to question whether Halliburton became one of the Defense Department's favorite contractors because Cheney is vice president. What do you think? Oh, let me think about that for a few years. No one has presented evidence that Cheney made as much as a phone call on behalf of his former company in the run-up to the war or since, but Halliburton's repeated missteps and legal troubles, the surge in government business, and apparent contradictions in statements by Cheney and other administration officials have kept the issue alive. Political analysts said that many voters may have no idea what services Halliburton provides to the government, but that they know Cheney once ran the company. John Pitney, Jr., no relation to Gene Pitney, a government professor at Claremont McKenna College who once served as a fellow in Cheney's congressional office, said Halliburton inflames administration critics. For people who disapprove of the administration, Halliburton provides a handle, he said. It summons up images of corporate connections and big oil. And, of course, we all know those are just images, right? There's no truth to any of that crap. Right. It's just those of us are jealous because we don't have those big, gigantic billions like they do. 21 past noon at 560 WQAM, your all-spot station for the new millennium. You know, this is one of those times when many of you might need some help fast because of the hurricanes and all the other crap that's been going on. Well, thankfully, Donna Mattress delivers the same day all across South Florida. When you call 1-800-Mattress, you'll choose from the deepest and widest selection of bedding, all available for immediate same-day delivery. Call 1-800-Mattress right now for factory direct prices, and like I said, immediate delivery. You still get to pick that day and 2-hour window to fit your schedule. And Donna Mattress is on time 99.7% of the time. Donna Mattress, they're ranked #1 at customer satisfaction. They were winners of the 2004 Better Business Bureau Local Torch of Excellence Award. You know what they say about that torch? When you call 1-800-Mattress, you'll choose still from the top names in the business: Sealy, Serta, King Crewell, Simmons, Tempur-Pedic, even Stearns and Foster Hewitt. Everybody with a brain is doing it, and you ought to be doing too. The easiest piece of shopping you'll ever do. Just sit on your fat ass and make that one call, 1-800-Mattress, or log on to their website, mattress.com. 1-800-Mattress, 1-800-MATTRES.
You're listening to Neil Rogers exclusively on 560 QAM.
Right, the Cubs suck.
First off, before I start, to the protesters outside, I call you all curly men. I bet you didn't see that joke coming. Hasta la vista, anarchist. I'll be back in George W. Bush. No, I made that part up, seriously.
I'm sure it was. Are we not streaming today? Because Keith says we're not streaming.
Yeah,
today.
we are, Keith, and I
think we're streaming
with that.
Yeah. Eric would let us know if we weren't streaming.
Damn straight.
Check your computer, Keith. Get with it. Marlins and the Cubs next from PP Park, and tomorrow full show, believe it or not.
Are you optimistic of the way that things are going? So I never, ever seem to be down. Don't you ever worry when you see what's going down. Well,
Oh, we're fine.
Where's the ladies' room?
Go. Oh, we're fine.
I'm dying over here.
Greg hates you.
Duh, get off this instant.
I have no life. George, eres el cojonudo de Experience.